New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Happy Friday, everyone. And now the good news. I'm Barbara Jean, your host, and I'm delighted to bring you some great news here on Friday evening or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Well, let's get started. Our first story tonight is Call a Boomer Payphone, which instantly connects youth with seniors to tackle loneliness across generations. What a cool idea. A new payphone outside a coffee shop on a Boston University campus is a strange sight, with its canary yellow box and the sticker pasted across the top reading, Call a Boomer. But what passerbys can't see and don't know is that over 2,000 miles away in Reno, Nevada, another payphone box sits in a common area at a senior housing community. Its sticker, in contrast, says, Call a Zoomer. The experiment created by Matter Neuroscience was designed to bridge generational divides and address loneliness in the two groups, experiencing the highest levels of social isolation, young adults and seniors. If a Zoomer picks up the phone outside of Pavement Coffee House, it automatically calls the phone in the rec area at the Volunteers of America Affordable Senior Living Community. If a boomer in the rec area picks up the phone, it automatically dials the box on the street outside the coffee shop. Two phones, two generations, instant connection. Matter styles itself as an emotional fitness club backed by science and supported by community. The purchasing of two old payphones on Facebook Marketplace was just the most recent kind of experiment the club has undertaken, which also included the same experiment but with Call a Democrat, Republican stickers on them. In a video that garnered 18 million views on the page's Instagram, April the Boomer picks up the phone and connects with Charlotte the Zoomer. She asks if the Zoomer has any life advice to share, a reverse of traditional roles, one might think. The generational G-force that reversal only deepened when Charlotte replied that she thinks people should just get off their phones and spend more time outside to meet people like them. If stereotyping is a fault in our stars, the example of April and Charlotte perhaps goes to show how much each generation has to learn and share with one another. What a cool story. Well, our next story, I'll tell you, look at this. Volunteers plant a mega hedge, 15 miles of hedge across England, connecting wildlife in two national parks. From England's South Downs National Park, one can trace a series of traditional hedgerows off into the distance, further than it's possible to see. The mega hedge runs all the way across the county of Hampshire to New Forest National Park, some 15 miles in length. The Hampshire Hedge, as it's called, has been 3 years in the making, as volunteers and experts at making traditional hedges have come together to build an unbroken line of hedgerows connecting the two parks and their wildlife. For more than just a fence or barrier, it's been shown that hedgerows are vital habitat corridors. Even as slim as they are, from mice to hedgehogs, insects, and birds, they offer a narrow sanctuary to 2,000 species over the course of a year, all of which The hedge is like a natural highway. The Hampshire Hedge project was put together by the Campaign to Protect Rural England's Hedgerow Grows Heroes program and was supported by various conservation nonprofits and the UK's National Lottery Heritage Fund. Hedgerows are a defining feature in the Test Valley landscape and play a vital role in supporting wildlife, tackling climate change, and keeping our countryside thriving. Now almost entirely completed, the third year of hedgerow laying was celebrated at Broadlands Estate at a party called Hedge Fest that also celebrated CPRE's 100th anniversary as an organization. Wow, way to go, folks. That is one big project. Okay, well, our next story is really quite, teenagers, they amaze me. The things they do and the way they do it, the ideas they come up with, they frankly are genius. Two San Francisco area teens are providing a valuable service for low income families in their community by collecting and redistributing donated school uniforms. The brothers' work also keeps the clothes out of landfills where they break down over hundreds of years while releasing methane, a potent yet short lived greenhouse gas. Anyone who's had to shop for them year in, year out will know children grow like weeds. A uniform good at the start of school may not even fit them by spring break. And for families who live at the hand to mouth income level, it's not always an option to simply continue buying replacements. Desmond and Ethan Howe got the idea for their nonprofit redistribution service after seeing a boy arrive at Bayside Academy in San Mateo wearing shorts on a cold day. Asking their peer why it was he was freezing his knees off, he responded that he didn't have another pair of pants to last him until laundry day. Understanding as well what 1,000 wasted school uniform will do to the country's emissions footprint, the boys launched HOPE, Help Our Mother Earth. Isn't that great? In which they sought to eliminate textile waste by identifying textile want. We take in gently used school uniforms from families who no longer need them, and we redistribute them back to families in the community. In the family garage, organized plastic chests over the ground, each one stacked full of neatly folded uniforms for all sizes. The Howe brothers received requests from students' families, fulfill the requests if possible from the items they have in stock, and then leave them in collection bins at school offices. These collection bins are also where families can leave uniforms that don't fit their children anymore, and they can be found across 9 public schools in the San Mateo Foster City School District that participate in the program. It started with our school, and then now the whole program is across our district. We are thrilled that we can contribute to that, to our Mother Earth. Oh, these boys, wow. I'll tell you, that is frankly brilliant. Oh, here's a fun story. Message in a bottle discovery on Tasmanian beach leads to 25-year intercontinental friendship. Not exactly news, but a beautiful story comes from the sandy shores of Tasmania, where 25 years ago, the waves brought a lifelong friend to resident Diane Charles. Rising early, she tells ABC News Australia was her habit back then, rising early to enjoy the peace of the sea and salute other early risers. One such morning in January, Charles discovered something bobbing up and down in the surf. It was that famous, it was the most famous of curiosities, a bottle sealed tightly with a message inside. We're talking 25 years ago. So when Charles opened it up to find the note written in Spanish, she couldn't just type it into Google Translate. And it wasn't as if there were a big immigrant community in Tasmania either. The captivating discovery became all the more captivating because it was a mystery. With the help of her brother, who had a Spanish dictionary, pardon me, she tried to piece together the gist of the letter by picking out individual words, but it was poetic and they eventually sought a scholar. Pardon me, I'm sorry. Life has taught me all is possible. Receive love and success. Second to this was the literal translation. In the top left corner, however, there was something far more interesting, a name and a fax number. Do y'all know what fax is? It's not used much anymore. In 1997, some years before Charles' fateful discovery on the beach, Erica Boyero from Colombia was bartending aboard a cruise ship sailing around Scandinavia. Oppressed by boredom, she filled several empty alcohol bottles with letters and threw them overboard. 4 years later, one made it to Tasmania, and when Charles sent a letter via fax, Boyero was at home in Colombia. Hey, you received a fax from Australia, said her father. I said, What? I don't know anyone in Australia. You don't really think that can happen, she told ABC News. There are so many millions of people in the world, and when destiny in this way shows a person you have to meet in this life for this reason, it's beautiful. The facts led to a 25-year friendship with the women calling and writing each other routinely to catch up on or celebrate milestones like the birth of children or moving house. It ultimately culminated in a visit for the first time this March, when Boyero was on a trip to Kuala Lumpur, and for the first time in her life, the distance to Tasmania seemed small. Waiting at the airport, Charles felt a bizarre form of anticipation, unlike anything she had experienced. But when Boyer appeared through the exit door, it was like seeing a long lost friend. The first item on the itinerary was a walk on Tatlo's beach, where Charles discovered Boyero's letter, and then a visit to the local Stanley Discovery Museum, where her message had become part of an exhibit. Isn't that cool? I don't know if any of you have ever thrown a bottle with a message in the water, but so cool. All right, a 19-year-old abandoned at birth without legs leads the USA to sled hockey gold at Paralympics. This is a story. Caden Beasley's life began without lower leg bones in a Chinese orphanage, but his journey carried him off to a loving family in a tiny North Carolina town and eventually to the 2026 Paralympics in Italy. Along the way, he's broken every barrier and overpowered the obstacles in front of him to help bring a gold medal in sled hockey to the United States. Caden was born as a congenital double amputee above the knee, but at age 3 was adopted by Anthony and Amy Beasley on Christmas Day and brought up in a loving home 30 miles from Raleigh, where another son adopted from China 3 years earlier. It's all I've ever known, Caden said of his loving North Carolina family in an article by the Raleigh News and Observer. My adoption is part of the journey, but not all of it. When he was 13, someone at his doctor's office told him about the Carolina Hurricane Sled Hockey Club, an adaptive version of ice hockey, featuring sled-like mechanisms that allow people with disabilities to partake in the sport. Caden's first experience with it proved to be a resounding success. He's a natural and he's never looked back, said Brian Jacoby, founder and co-director of the Carolina Hurricane Sled Hockey. His first international tournament, I think in the second game, he was named Player of the Game. Before long, a newfound purpose and passion overtook Caden's life, sending him skating past any perceived limitations. He was invited to a Team USA development camp for sled hockey and eventually made the team. Then he competed in the 2025 World Para Ice Hockey Championship, where he had 2 goals and 5 assists in 5 games, helping him to lead Team USA to a gold medal. This month, he skated in the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Paralympics in Italy, just weeks after the USA men's and women's teams both won gold in the same city's Winter Olympics. At 19 years old, Caden is still the 3rd youngest member of the team, but he played in all 5 games for Team USA, scoring 3 goals and adding an assist as the Americans earned yet another gold. Woo! Way to go, Caden. That is amazing. What a beautiful story. You know, there are no limitations except those we accept. Pay attention to that. Okay, Wagatha Christie dog may have resolved Victorian murder, digging up poison bottle from 160 years ago. A family's dog may have solved a notorious 160-year-old murder after he dug up a bottle of poison buried in the garden. The Labrador, unearthed a blue vial under his lawn in Devon, England, that his owner, Paul Phillips, thought was a pipe, until he saw the words "not to be taken" embossed on glass. The 49-year-old did some digging and discovered a woman named Marianne Ashford had lived 2 doors down and killed her husband William in 1865. She put poison into his tea so she could take his money and be with her young lover. Now in the modern way town of Clisthoniton, he's pretty sure his dog has uncovered the evidence. My dog Stanley has been digging in the same spot in our garden. We kept patching it up, and even at one point had to put a paving slab over it. But he was insistent there was something there he wanted. It was a bright blue bottle in perfect mint condition and had the words "not to be taken" on the glass. After doing some research, he learned that such bottles were used in the mid 19th century for poisons, and then he remembered learning something about a murder and hanging in the village over a century ago. So I went back online and found the old newspaper article about William and Marianne Ashford, and she was having an affair with a guy that worked at the local bakery. I think our property used to be a big cider barn. The fact that there was a murder due to poisoning in the next door down from us, you have to put two and two together. Paul also learned that his bit of local history became part of a national political question about the death penalty. After tests showed that Mary Ashford had traces of arsenic and strychnine on her clothes, the local Victorian killer was sentenced to be executed for the murder by arsenic poisoning of her husband of 20 years. But the hanging almost went wrong. Reportedly, with a crowd of 20,000 people, it took Mary minutes to die. Paul said the incident galvanized opinion at that time against public hangings and was key to ending them across the county. Kind of a gruesome way to go. Cute dog, though. All right. Teenagers again. Don't you love these teens? Teens recycle old pickleballs and tennis balls to avert millions from landfills. And you can help. While most teenagers are focused on homework and weekend plans, 12 high school students from the Pacific Palisades community are confronting a global environmental issue hiding in plain sight: the estimated 500 million non-biodegradable tennis and pickleballs discarded into landfills each year. They launched Another Bounce with an ambitious goal of setting a world record for the most balls collected for recycling from racket sports, a campaign that will culminate in an Earth Day collection event on April 19th. The group has partnered with Ridwell in Los Angeles, which shreds, washes, and pelletizes the balls, which are then shipped to their partner, Merlin Plastics. The recycled plastic is then used to create a variety of products. The pelletized post-consumer resin ends up in various commercial and industrial products like nursery plant pots, carpeting, plastic packaging, and more. They also supply balls to a group in Florida called Bounce Back Pickle, which breaks down the plastic to create new pickle balls, avoiding the landfill waste that can take over 400 years to decompose. Ultimately, their youthful mission is to vigorously advocate for a circular model of tennis and pickleballs, like computer manufacturers have designed in partnership with electronics stores, meaning ball companies should create their own take-back programs to ensure products are responsibly recycled at the end of their life. Wow, I'll tell you, if you ever thought teenagers were a pain, think again. Think again. All right, here's one that I could use. A boy selling a towel that stays cool for 2 hours, and he wins $200,000 in prize money. A teenage boy who is marketing a towel that stays cold for 2 hours has bested 15,000 other inventors to win a £150,000 cash prize, about 200,000 K, in an international competition. 16-year-old Harrison Knott is juggling his normal schoolwork while running his Cool Towel company, which earned £100,000 in revenues last year. He became an entrepreneur in 2023, founding Cool Towel in his bedroom. He's gratefully scaled up his business, sending out more than 30,000 orders. Reportedly, the towel is made of a 3-layer polyester material that holds on to moisture. The directions say it delivers cooling relief by wetting, wringing, and snapping the towel. Harrison from Essex, England, was soon selling his wares via TikTok and Shopify, hitting £15,000 during his best day last summer. Now, after recent headlines, he's coping with a quickly ballooning business. I've been very, very busy, Harrison admits. It's gone from a relatively small side hustle run from my bedroom to a big business. I've had to grow up very fast. My school has been very helpful. I'm on a part-time timetable now to accommodate the needs of my business. In November, Harrison attended an Alibaba.com co-creative pitch event in London after applying with 15,000 other young entrepreneurs from around the world. He was one of the just 30 chosen to pitch their business to judges at the event, and though 10 others won $20,000 investments, Harrison was the only one to take home the grand prize of $200,000 after wowing judges with his pitch. Those teenagers, I gotta tell you, they're doing remarkable work. Oh, this is my most fun story. I love this story. Fun fashion shoot makes residents in a senior home feel 20 years younger. Isn't that so cool? Look at that picture. Senior home residents were left feeling 20 years younger after posing for a photo shoot wearing high fashion wigs and colorful clothing. Residents at Maplewood Court, an hour outside London, were treated to the glam up session thanks to the facility's lifestyle team, who were inspired by a video on social media. Providing an outrageous wardrobe of flower-studded wigs, sunglasses, hats, and giant pearls, the photo shoot had the 72 residents abuzz with excitement. The fun afternoon was the brainchild of employees Laura Taylor and Joe Morgan, who kept it a secret, only leaking bits of excitement. There was such a buzz in the home. We love the idea of giving our residents the chance not just to dress up, but to go over the top and feel fabulous. Centenarian Hilda House said it provided a new lease of life. I loved it. They made me look 80 instead of 100. It was so much fun to dress up in all the bright clothes. The pair sourced the wigs online while other employees contributed jewelry, scarves, and sunglasses. Deb Eve, a care assistant in the Maplewood home in Maidstone, did the ladies' makeup while Morgan took the photographs with the help of her daughter. We were thrilled that everyone was so keen to get dressed up. The whole thing lifted everyone's mood. It was wonderful to see. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful story? Ah, I love it. I love it. So fun. So fun. Oh, I just lost one of my stories. Oops. Ah, dear me, dear me. Can you pull the next one up, JJ? Oh, this is meat. Yes, yes. Well, it seems that seniors eating more meat actually is good for them. Must be the protein. I don't know. Anyway, I would love to read you that story. However, I have lost that piece of information. I accidentally moved my cursor in the wrong place. Oh, that looks good, right? That looks like a lovely meal. Some asparagus, some carrots, some meat. I'm getting hungry already. Well, we're going to move on to our final story, which was a little bit horrific, especially for those of us here in Canada. An Air Canada flight landed, sort of, at LaGuardia Airport when a fire truck was coming across the runway, and the plane hit the fire truck. People in the truck were fine, firemen were okay, but the pilot and co-pilot were killed instantly. A miracle. Look at that picture. Whoa. Canadian flight attendant was ejected 100 meters from the plane, and she survives the crash. So what began as a routine landing at New York's LaGuardia Airport turned into a scene of devastation and one survival story that experts are calling nothing short of miraculous. Look at her beautiful face. I love that. On Sunday, An Air Canada Jazz operated CRJ 900 aircraft collided with a fire truck during landing, resulting in a tragic crash that claimed the lives of both the pilot and co pilot. 9 other people were injured and taken to hospital. Among the survivors was flight attendant Solange Tremblay. Her survival is now being described as a complete miracle by her family. Her daughter, Sarah Lapine, shared the shocking details of what happened in an interview with Quebec's TVA News. At the moment of impact, her seat was ejected more than 100 meters from the plane. They found her and she was still strapped into her seat. It's a complete miracle. She had a guardian angel watching over her. It could have been much worse. Tremblay suffered multiple fractures and required surgery for a broken leg, but doctors say she is expected to recover. According to her social media profile, she's been working as a flight attendant with Jazz for 26 years. Aviation safety expert Jev Guzzetti also described her survival as extraordinary, especially when compared to the destruction of the nose of the airplane during the crash. In the midst of a heartbreaking tragedy, Tremblay's survival stands out as a rare moment of hope. One that her family says can only be explained as a miracle. As a Canadian who lives pretty close to Montreal and flies Air Canada often, this was quite the story. Well, everyone, that's your good news for this Friday, March the 27th. And I am so delighted to be with you each and every Friday afternoon or evening, or maybe even morning, depending where you are in the world. The New Thought Media Network carries programming all week long. All good news, all great love stories, great prayers and great hope and all kinds of good stuff, and also a fabulous radio station with very positive music. It is a great place to spend your time. So if you haven't, kind of moved around the ntmedia.org website, you might want to try it. There is a lot of good to be had right there. The good news that we have every week comes from the Good News Network and also Sunny Skies, another good news channel. So you can go to either of those places and get more of this terrific news. And every week we will be here sharing more of the same. The New Thought Media Network is a charitable organization, a nonprofit organization, and you can donate to us to ensure that we keep creating more amazing, positive content for you, your family, your friends, and whoever you choose to share it with. So take the time to like, share, and subscribe, and maybe even go on to the NT Media website and hit that donate link. And on the donate link, you'll see that we're using Give Butter to accept donations. And if you want, you can even leave a donation to Give Butter. You see, 100% of your donation comes straight to NT Media. But if you'd like to offset Give Butter's expense, you can give a small percentage back to them. $1 or $2 when you make a donation will make a vast difference in keeping all these good things moving and growing. Thank you so much for watching this evening. I'm Barbara Jean, and I will see you again next week, same channel. Bye for now. Take care.